To this week's episode of Bruffy's Rugby Offload. I'm your host, Big L Bruffy, and we have a very special guest in store for you today. Let's get it cracking.
Rugby offload in the heat, desert sun in my face, tackles, dust, clouds, no retreat. We set the pace from Bahrain to Doha. Drama in the sands, man. The rugby battlefield is made for tough hands.
Hey, welcome to the show. We are formerly the UAE Rugby Wrap. We've done some rebranding, as you might have seen on the Instagram. We are now Bruffy's Rugby Offload, or the Bro Pod, as you can see here. Got the logo on the shoulder, some gear coming through. Welcome to this week's show. We are going to dive straight in, and we are going to be talking to a legend of UAE rugby, the captain of the UAE rugby team, Matt Mills, Exiles player and legend. Let's get into it. Well, today's special guest is none other than Matt Mills himself, captain of the UAE, Exiles player, absolute legend. We've been trying to get together for a little bit, but we both have young children. Matt's just got a recent one, so it's finally time that we have a chat.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. All right. So, as I said, you're captain of the UAE, and it is obviously a very big week. What have we got on this week?
So we're prepping for Hong Kong this weekend. We've got them at home on Saturday night. So everything's focused on that, one game at a time, as part of the Asia Rugby Championships. And training, we just came off a really good camp at the weekend with lots of time, lots of running through the legs, multiple sessions throughout the days with breaks, lunch, and then this week, again, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, the little captain's run on Friday before the game on Saturday. So we're super excited, and we hope we put on a decent show.
Yeah, we will dive more into that game shortly and the rest of the Asia Cup. Let's get to know you a little bit before we begin. So you're obviously the captain of the UAE team, but you've been out here a fair while. How long has that been?
Yeah, so just coming up, it'll be 10 years in August for me in the sandpit. And I'm a teacher, I'm a PE teacher, just like pretty much all the other players that have in the team. We all work. None of us are professional, unfortunately. So I'm a teacher in a school here in the UAE, in Dubai English Speaking College. Really, really good school. Been there for my whole 10 years that I've been here, and I'm not leaving anytime soon. Met my wife and started my family here in Dubai as well. Now a father of three, which keeps me busy.
Absolutely. I'm struggling with one, so.
Oh, my wife is a saint, allowing me to be out of the house as much as I am with training and also juggling the three kids. But they're awesome, and they're already in that stage of getting them on the side of the pitch and getting them recognising the rugby pitch, and they're enjoying it, which is good.
Yeah, and you've got other family out here as well. I believe your brother was playing with you this season.
Yeah, so my family have been visiting obviously over the period of me being here, and we're really lucky. And my family have their own business, and they've moved a branch of it out here, so it allowed them to have buy a place here and open a branch of their business. And because of that, my younger brother, I've three younger brothers. One of them, he's a marine biologist, so he started putting some of his spreading the net out here, I suppose, and looking for jobs out here. And he managed to get a few prospects, and he's just landed that job as working with some of the restoration of coral reefs, and
that's awesome.
which is, it's a really cool job. He's landed on his feet with it, and he's super happy. And it also means that with him working and having a visa, he's able to come and throw the ball around with me. So hopefully next season, we only got we didn't get a game together, unfortunately, because I was recovering from an injury, but he took my jersey. Hopefully next season will be maybe a 6 and 7 partnership. We'll see how it goes. We're looking forward to it.
Now you do play for the Exiles, and I know you and I have our history with my love of the Exiles, but I'm a good boy these days. So you've been at the Exiles the whole time you've been here, or have you changed at all as well?
No, no, at the Exiles the whole time. When I first came, when I first started thinking about coming to Dubai, I sent a few emails out to the clubs, and the Exiles were the first ones to get back to me. And I'm a bit of a one club man. We are from home. My family are all at the same club, have been for years. And it's the same as here, one club. And I shan't be leaving. My kids will probably play for Exiles, and it's a really great setup up there. Get to play on world class pitches, and like every club, it has issues, and the politics of a club. But
The
it was
fun and
brilliant.
games.
Yeah, and I can't see myself leaving there at any point, and I'll coach and things for the younger age groups as well.
No, and there's a lot of respect there for anybody who stays at the club. Well, as a one club person, I know obviously you've seen it in the UAE. There's a few guys who jump around clubs and
Yeah,
jump around that.
I think,
It's a
I think
hard
that
thing in the
might be
UAE.
why. Yeah, I think that might be why the Exiles, sort of certainly in my time and Jack Spinnett's time at the club, why we've had as much success as we have. I think we've got that core 15 or so players that have been there a long time. Some of us, like myself, are still hanging on, even though we're very senior players now. But that core 15, 17, 18 lads that have been there 7, 8, 9 years, you can build a good squad around that, and playing the same caliber of rugby year in, year out has been quite beneficial for the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting to know those boys and their mannerisms, how to deal with them. I know you and John Boats have been together for a fair while, so it's
Yeah,
quite the
we
combination
used
at times.
yeah we used to play against each other and get under each other's skin. We have a laugh and joke quite often about how many yellow cards I used to manage to get him by winding him up on the pitch. And then that one season of the Exiles, I think it was the worst season Exiles ever had. I think we didn't even get to any of the semi-finals one year, and I think it was solely because of the dynamics of the team with Jean coming in and me, and I was butting heads a little bit, um, and then I think it was winning the sevens the following year together that made us just click, and we went, you know what, if we get on, the team gets on, and if me and you can get our heads together and work together, then it works.
Yeah.
So and then that was a big turning point.
I know, and crucial because you guys have had so much success over the years at Exiles as well. Just notoriously that big pack, it's in people's heads before the game. Coming up against you guys is always, I think everybody sees it as like that amazing challenge because you guys are the pinnacle in UAE. A lot of the time, you're the guy everybody wants to beat, and I know
Yeah.
it's probably a lot of pressure at times as well.
Yeah, it's not the nicest of positions to be in when it's like anyone but Exiles. um, but then it's that compliment of, people celebrate when they beat us, and people have beaten us. This year we didn't win the premierships or the West Asia, but um, being in that position where everyone does want to beat you, um, some players shy away from that. Some players step up to it, and we happen to have probably a majority of players that step up to that. We like that. We like that dog it out, and especially up front, we got
Yeah,
a pack that can handle that pressure. And yeah, we've had some serious games. Bahrain, Canes, Dragons, even that come and have a good pop at us. And yeah, it's not nice. It's not nice to be in that position where everyone wants to beat the Exiles, but the more the UAE setup is progressing and more boys are qualifying for the UAE, the more mates you've got in the other teams, and that softens the blow a bit because they start to realise. There's a funny story that I was roomed with. I won't mention the player, but I was roomed with a player a few years ago, and he went, "Oh, you're actually all right, aren't you, Millsy?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "No, you're actually not what everyone says you are." I'll refrain the language, but I was like, "Yeah, no, we're not all idiots up at the Exiles. Like, we actually all get on well, and we're a decent set of blokes. Just you only meet us on the pitch, and that's probably not the best place to make your judgment of what kind of characters we are."
yeah, no, and that's fair enough. And I've heard the same about some other blokes as well. I know Jean Boats is one of the most probably I want to say feared, but also hated guys on the field but off the field, he's such a lovely dude and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
he's the nicest bloke.
you
Yeah,
don't get to know him until like you get that bit of time and stuff like that as well. And
yeah, I agree. He'd have you around his house for a braai any day of the week. He's top bloke.
I was
Don't
the
let him
same
know I
with
said that. Can we cut that bit out?
Big Starbo. I think me and him started off as he hated me, and now we're great mates, chat all the time. So it's weird how those circles change over time and how you
It's
get to
rugby,
see
right?
people. Yeah. While we're talking about the rugby in the UAE, obviously there's a real up and down nature to players' availability, clubs, and things like that. What do you see as the like? What's the best thing about playing in the UAE?
Um, I think the speed of the game and the quality of the game. Like when I first came here, it was a step up, and I've come from rainy British Northampton rugby, Bedfordshire rugby, where it was, um, even 10 years ago, like you didn't necessarily need to be able to spin pass off your left hand. You could just pop it and get it there, and then you came here, and the skill level is just above and beyond. And you see that through schoolboy rugby. You see that at all levels: club rugby, schoolboy, schoolgirl, I should say, and all the way up. The skills that you have out here, especially because of the emphasis of sevens early on in the season, it's second to none. And we get that a lot when we send students overseas and they go off to their clubs back in when they go to universities, or they go back and they travel and they go play overseas. They go, oh, the skills that they learned here and the skill set and the speed at which they can execute those skills leaves them in really good stead for wherever they're playing outside of the UAE as well. So the skill level, the conditions, the pitches, it's all set up for fast flowing, beautiful rugby.
Yeah, it's the conditions out here. People don't understand. Like I played on the Gold Coast in Australia, and the weather's pretty good out there, but it rains and rugby's off for the day because they have to keep the pitches out here. The everything's just an immaculate. Like it's just unbelievable to way to play out here. All right, so we've what are some of the tougher things, not just for the exiles and you, but probably the UAE League and rugby in general out here.
So there is that fluctuation of weather. The heat early in the season and late in the season. It's really tough. I can only really compare it to sort of playing in the rain in the UK when there's so much humidity and sweat, and you're soaked through. Your socks are wet, your boots are squelching. That's a big challenge. And I think some players do find it hard to transition from, like I just said, that huge, expansive 15-meter passes off both hands to let's narrow it up. Let's get it a bit tighter and let's keep hold of the ball because it's a bar of soap.
Yeah,
So that's a big challenge. I also think the league out here, the caliber of players out here is tremendous. You've got some amazing players that have played top flight rugby around the world. But the depth of players at all the clubs, it would be really nice if there was that touch more depth. Maybe players like me who are getting on a little bit that might get pushed out a bit quicker. But the level of rugby, as it has climbed and as it is still going up, you need that depth of players. And we're kind of getting on a different question here, but it's going to go more towards this league and the leagues we're playing in, especially the top flight, the Premiership. There is an element where it's slowly creeping towards semi-professionalism, where you're only going to attract these players if you start paying players to be here.
yeah,
And I know a
giving them
few clubs.
that rugby opportunity. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
I agree with that. And one of the things I think we're looking at probably props around the country. I know Exiles have been blessed this year with a few of the UAE national team players,
Mm.
but that they're a similar age bracket to you as well. Young props coming through. I think that's a real challenge in the UAE. Those
Yeah,
big guys
100%.
as well.
Yeah, that challenge. Yeah, I didn't know why I didn't pick up on that. The challenge, like exactly what you said, is that age gap between players. You have we're blessed at the Exiles, where we have a really good influx of young players from the major schools. We have a lot of the coaches and members of staff from those schools play and coach at our clubs. So we have that really young, up and coming 18-year-olds that are wanting to be blooded in the men's teams and want to get a bit of men's team rugby before they go off to university. And then there lies the problem. We're losing then players every year off to universities, UK, Australia, New Zealand. So that key age range of sort of early 20s, that 22-year-old player, it almost doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They're few and far between. So you end up having the really youngsters that are inexperienced but are super keen, and then they leave. And then what you end up having is then your sort of mid-20s to mid-30s players who are all working and successful and have their careers out here and families. And that tends to be the age brackets. You're either really young and keen and fresh, or you're an old head. And it would be really nice if, and you're slowly starting to see it over the last couple of years, that gap is starting to close up. It's starting to bridge, where some players are deciding not to go off to university, to have a year and stay here to play rugby, especially with the prospect of the UAE rugby setup now being a clear pathway.
Yeah.
And UAE rugby is no longer just it's only UAE. They're actually going, no, this is UAE rugby. We're playing Hong Kong. You're playing Kenya. You're playing Zimbabwe. You're playing
We're
Sri
playing for a
Lanka,
World Cup opportunity.
and which is
Like,
bonkers.
yeah, like it's crazy, and that is good because it does. We do have a couple of guys. I know when we had you guys played Germany and you played Zimbabwe last season, we had props coming out and guys who have qualified actually coming back to play, which I think is really important out here, especially with the transient nature. If you can keep getting those guys, those young guys who've qualified to come back out and play and represent, it's only a good thing.
Definitely, and even the training camp we just had this weekend, we had those lads come in flying, a couple from Qatar, a couple of lads from the UK, and playing good level Nat 1. They're playing good level rugby in the UK, and it's definitely bolstering the ranks, and hopefully will up the level of the quality of the rugby we can play as the national side as well. And if we can encourage that, then even if these kids, kids like my kids who are going to grow up here in the UAE over the next 20 years, even if they do go off to university, they can come back and play rugby because they go, well,
They're
born
qualified
here,
first,
raised
yeah.
here, they qualify first. And we're going to see more of that as we get through the years, I hope.
Yeah, and that is awesome thing. The one thing we probably do miss is like the local talent. Get convincing the Emiratis to play.
Yeah.
Now I know, having coached at schools and stuff out here as well, because I'm a teacher as well, and done a bit of stuff. Like they love the rough and tumble of it, but there's a big aspect, and probably the Western aspect of it, a cultural thing about rugby that probably plays a part. Would you agree with that at all? That maybe that's keeping them away?
Yeah, like my experience of a lot of the Emirati boys that we've played with over the years, especially in the sevens, when I was a bit younger and faster, when we were in the sevens setup, especially, is top blokes, all really, really top guys, and passion isn't even a word. Like they are passionate, patriotic men who will do anything, to the point where they're phased out of the team because better players have qualified and come along, and they're still there running the water bottles on or carrying your bags, and you're going, like, these guys that they then need to pass it on to their kids. And there's a few players who they bring their kids along and they can see rugby, and you go, right, that's what you need. You need them coming, bringing their children. They're joining clubs at younger ages. And the Shaheen Club is a great example of talent coming through. They've recruited a few different players that's brought the level up. And even now the team that's just been in Algarve, they've two of those boys are the Emirati boys, the up and coming boys, and those boys are quick.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali, he is rapid. He scored a beautiful try down the side there as well.
Trained with him a few times, and that man can shift.
Yeah.
And they're the sort of lads, they're the role models that need to be going in and saying, no, you need to train, have discipline, and you get everything out of it. All the rewards that rugby gives you and the club gives you, and the rewards that I want to give my children by joining a club, that's got to be part of now that Emirati drive from those players when they have their children.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this sort of stuff doesn't happen overnight.
No.
We're talking legacy. We're talking 20, 30 years before rugby becomes, in the blood of Emiratis. Because like me, I was on the side of a rugby pitch watching my dad. These players that are really good players, they need to have their children on the sidelines watching them play and
Yeah.
getting the passion for it and taking them to the clubs. So it's getting there. Again, I've seen a progression over the last 7 years that I've been representing, and it's going in a positive direction. I would like to see an Emirati in the 15 side set up at some point, but equally they're going to have to be good enough to get in.
Yeah.
And
The competition is fierce at the moment.
it's getting harder and harder to get in the team, which is awesome. We're not just selecting those that qualify now. We've got the pick of those that qualify, and that's in a much stronger position. That's why rugby in UAE rugby especially is getting better.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep talking about UAE rugby. You guys travelled to Kenya
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, and uh, there was complications with the streams and the setups and things like that. Because we had plans to watch it, and I couldn't find anybody who could see it in the UAE. But it
Yeah,
was
no one.
a different type of game as well. I'm not going to harp on the score because, from what I understand, it was 30-minute games against basically three different squads,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
didn't
So
play their good squad till the last 30 minutes.
yeah, so it looked that way, I think. So I think the coaches, with the lack of fixtures that we've managed to secure, there was chats, I know, with Morocco coming over for fixture, Bahrain coming over for a fixture, a few others, us returning to Zimbabwe and giving them a return fixture. That was in the process at one point, and everything sort of fizzled out. People backed off, and funding wasn't there for certain things. So we got to the point, I think, where the federation was just like, let's just get a fixture, and we had 9 days notice.
Yeah,
We literally got told at training on a Thursday that we were traveling to Kenya to play them on the Saturday. We were like, oh, awesome, but it did mean we were lacking a few players. A few players couldn't commit that in that short space of time. Excuse me. But it also, I think the coaches just wanted us to have as much rugby as possible. So rather than going and playing a full 80 minutes, I know Kenya were preparing for theirs, their
Africa
tour of
Cup.
South Africa that they're on at
Yeah,
the moment. So I think the coaches got their heads together and said, look, let's get as much rugby for as many players as possible. And they arranged this, 3 30-minute games. The score continued throughout, so it wasn't like a big break. But I think you come up against any team that rolls out a fresh 15 legs every 30 minutes. I don't think it matters what they put out in that last 30 minutes.
it's going to
We
be
were
tough
spent,
times. Yeah,
and I don't care what anyone says. The altitude, they're 5,000 feet above sea level or something. It was ridiculous.
yeah,
Like one of the highest rugby pitches in Africa or something, and we were like 20% drop. I don't care what anyone. I've never experienced anything
yeah,
like it in my life where you haven't been able to acclimatize. We arrived the day before, quick training session out in it where you just felt heavy, and then trying to play multiple phases in that was really tough. And yeah, they rolled out their first string players in the last 30 minutes, and we held on. We held on all right, but then it became a bit of a try fest. Last 10 minutes.
yeah.
80 to 90 minutes of the game. I think they scored three or four quick tries, which is 28 points, and that was it.
Yeah, and you guys were leading through the first two halves, so that was good to see. Some old boys coming with you as well. I think a couple of them make you look young with Sean Stevens been out there. Chris
Sorry.
McKay, he's got old as well, but also some.
Actually, I think I'm older than all those boys.
Oh yeah, ooh,
Yeah, no, Chris McKee's he's a schoolboy from my school back at home. He was 2 years
yeah.
below me in school, so
Oh okay,
uh, definitely older than him. I'm not sure about Sean.
yeah. But they're both, I think they're both vets age as well now. So
Yeah, I'm certainly a vet. Yeah, and this is
um,
again, this is what we're saying about the players in the UAE squad at the moment as well. Like our age bracket is quite high. I know a lot
So
of the players.
with that
I think.
age bracket, obviously, it puts things into question. Obviously, if we get through, like if we beat Hong Kong, amazing. Like they are a professional outfit. I think 20 of their players are paid by Hong Kong Rugby to play. Many other guys out there are sponsored by their clubs quite well, so they are a very professional setup. And they have shown throughout the years to be quite a dominant team. But what UAE's done is they started beating Korea and things like that. So, like if we did qualify for that second place, got the Africa Cup, got what happens then, especially considering our ages? I mean, are we hoping for another influx of younger guys? Because obviously
Well,
you're already over 35. 2 more
yeah. So
years to a World Cup, that could be tough.
yeah. So I won't be holding my breath. um, but yeah, like realistically, if we did qualify, I think the setup would become quite professional quite quick. I know as soon as a country qualifies for a World Cup, I know they get a lot of funding from World Rugby, um, and I can see that a lot of players, similar to those that are already coming back, might be a bit more interested in those that qualify and that are playing at a decent level around the world might be interested in starting to come back. So that could be exciting. Also, 2 years is a long time. There are some absolutely quality players that are playing in the domestic league out here that aren't quite there on qualification yet.
Yeah,
And
but would be by that time. Yeah,
one or
that's
two more years would really make a difference there. And uh, you know, I'm first to hold my hands up and say that I don't know how many seasons I've got left in me. I'll say I'll play rugby until I don't get picked anymore.
yeah.
And it seems to always just keep being one more year. We'll see how that goes. But you know what? Hong Kong aren't unbeatable.
No, they're not.
As professional as they are, they're playing in their domestic league out in Hong Kong. Most of the players there, similar to us, expats. We're just maybe 7, 8 years behind them with regards to our positioning and us turning Korea over last year and Malaysia. Um, the Hong Kong game was a bit of a shock factor for us. That was a welcome to the level,
Yeah,
welcome to the show, and we responded to that. And we're in a much better place this year than we were last year, having played a few more fixtures, like you said, Germany, Zimbabwe, Kenya. We're certainly fitter and more organised, and we've got a few extra players that have come along and qualified again this year. So yeah, I wouldn't write us off.
oh, I'm definitely not, and I'm looking forward to being down at the game. I'll definitely be part of the commentary team at some stage, but I'll
Awesome.
be I'll be down there. Maybe a little bit of a sore head as I'm celebrating the 40th this week, but well,
Oh,
I'll get there. I'll get there in
you'll
the
be
end.
fine.
But no, so Hong Kong, it will be a tough game. What have we got for them? I saw in Kenya, I got sent a little team list, and you were listed as a lock. I'm not sure
Mm.
if that's something that you planned on or you used to, but
I certainly didn't
will that
plan
happen again?
it. No, so I think the coaches, again, with alongside the game time situation, we're trying to get as much game time for everyone as possible. They also experimented with a lot of positional changes. You'll see a few players that you recognise maybe playing slightly different positions. So yeah, they tried me in at lock. I thought I held my own all right. Um, and if I have to, I'll slot in there. You'll see people maybe like Ipeli. He might be shifting up towards the front row, trying to again bring the fitness of the pack up to where it needs to be to compete at that level.
Yeah,
I think the depth, like you said, of front row, second rows, we haven't quite got too many. Yeah, so you might see a few players that they're playing in different positions. That they're experimenting with the different back lines as well, with different combinations. And I think just trying to get the best 15 players on the pitch for as long as possible. And if that means that I have to slot up into the second row from the back row and get another back rower on the pitch, it doesn't really change too much about the game for me. I'm still jumping the line out, still lifting.
yeah.
It's just all about the position that I come out of a scrum in. So, um, yeah, not my favourite position, the engine room, and not one I've got much experience in, but it has been one that we've been playing about with in training and making sure that if the needs must, then I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, so the future of the UAE rugby is looking good. Where like the league is building. I know we've had clubs come and go recently. Tigers probably one of the most recent ones to drop out. I think you would have been here for the Eagles as well, an up and coming club going down. Sharks we've got this year. They struggled throughout the year, but rumors are their squad's already being bolstered from changes of players and things like that as well. How else can we get probably the one thing that the West Asia Premiership for me is lacking is probably the number of teams in there. So those guys like the Tigers, I know they dropped out this season. The Hurricanes have dropped out and come back in. If we kept them in the top league, I know it might be a tough year for them, but I feel like that makes things fairer over in the long run. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
So look, anyone that's been in and around the rugby scene or a different rugby club scene in a different country, they knows that when a club goes up into the different league or a new club appears in a league, it's always a massive jump, and it's not an overnight one season wonder. They're normally going to get a setback in that
Yeah,
first season. Um, and everyone that I've spoken to, Sharks is a great example. Great set of guys up there. They've recruited well. They've got a couple of good players for this year, and a few rumours flying around about next year. So I think with any team that goes up a league or appears in a league, it's a 3-year process.
yeah,
They've got to take 3 seasons. And Sharks is, like I said, a great example of that. I'm there saying to the boys and a few of the lads that are even in the UAE set up from the Sharks, and I'm saying, like, you got to do 3 seasons. You got to go and get pummeled in the first year. Second year, start to actually compete, and there's that bit of promise. And then the third year, you'll be fine. If you can survive those 3 years in a step up, you'll do well. And
and yeah, I agree with that. The setup they've got down there, it like if they can hang in there, they can be an amazing club in a few years. I think they'll be one of the top contenders just based on their setup alone. I know you got Exiles and Hurricanes are out at sevens, and it's a long way to go for a lot of people. Like the Sharks are in the city, good for recruiting.
yeah,
They've opened up the bar and things like that. So
and they've got a
um,
huge mini and junior section there as well. They're really
yeah,
successful and a great club. So if they start to then progress up into the under 18s, under 19s, and they start getting that core group of players there, they've got that youngster base coming into their first 15 as well, and
yeah.
there's massive potential.
Absolutely. All right, mate. I am gonna let you go. I know
No
you've
problem.
got more people to speak to for the evening, but thank you very much for joining the pod. We're doing a one-off episode. I'll probably do a review of the game on the weekend. But good luck against
Thanks
Hong
so
Kong
much.
this weekend, and then Korea the week after. So, like a couple
Yeah, I
of
just want to say
big
thank
weeks of footy.
Yeah, thanks for all your support, and we appreciate everything that you're doing for the game out here as well. So keep it up.
All right. Cheers, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one. Bye.